All right, welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a minute, but we have a new episode out. Well, I have a new episode out. I've been wanting to do this for 4 years, but I never had someone to talk about it with because I need someone who can talk about the lore, history, and details of Final Fantasy VII. We're not so much talking about Final Fantasy VII per se, but more so remake and rebirth. Less so the original Final Fantasy VII, more so the
Mhm.
compilation. For those that are listening, like and subscribe. We're talking about Final Fantasy remake and rebirth in relation to transgenerational trauma. And I have a guest that you guys have probably remembered. I'll let him introduce himself.
What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is having a blessed day, blessed evening, blessed time. It's your boy Rose. Um, Thank you, Eb. I really appreciate you having me here. Um,
Gotta have a first
Man,
class soldier, ex soldier. Sorry.
ex-soldier, ex-soldier.
Yeah.
It's not something I do anymore. I still have the card though. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. It's your boy Rose, like I said again, and this game right here, man, it means so much to me. It has shaped a lot of who I am, to be completely honest, with its storytelling, its characterization, its themes, and just the different things to revisit and reflect on over the years. I'm excited to do this. I'm
Yeah, man.
excited, man.
Same. When we connected on this, I was like, "Yo, we gotta. This is us." I remember you first bitch like, "Yo, I'm down for this." So I had that in the back of my mind. So I wanted to drop this around the time that Rebirth drops, right? Because everyone's
Hmm.
really interested in just talking about the lore and aspects of it. But I feel like there's a lot more that we can talk about specific in relation to the Whispers slash the planet, Cloud, Sephiroth, and Aerith.
Hmm.
But I'll start the conversation by explaining what transgenerational trauma is. I'm using more of the technical term.
Right.
Transgenerational trauma is the proper term for when something negative happens to one member of a family and is passed down to subsequent generations. So, this is, I would say, especially prevalent in the African community, the Caribbean community. I would even argue the ADOS African American community and others as well. I see this. There's a number of you know young people, adults that I work with, teenagers, kids that their mom treated them a certain way, and the mom was treated a certain way by their grandmother. Now the mom is
Yeah.
treating the daughter a particular way, and it just continues until someone decides to break the cycle. And I found that was a very strong theme in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, in terms of the
Hmm.
Final Fantasy whole compilation, for those that know, Final Fantasy VII is not just one singular game that came out then. Well, how old were we? Like, what, 10? I don't even remember. When did 7 drop? It was like
When
1997?
the OG one,
Yeah.
I might have. I think I was 6. I'm 90. I'm born
So,
91.
okay. I'm 89. So I was probably, you said 6, so I was probably like
Yeah,
8.
6, 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I remember I had the PlayStation 1 at the time. And
Hmm.
so to give people understanding, like I played Final Fantasy VII, unlike Rose, I never got to finish it because my one of my friends' disc didn't work. And it's not a fairy tale where suddenly someone came and got me another. My parents couldn't afford it. I couldn't get another one. They also didn't want me to play too much video games, so I never got to finish Final Fantasy VII. I got to cover a large portion of it, but I never got to like the end. And on top of that, I can never replay the game. Like I did buy the game again on PSN, but I haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to like sit down and play it. So I don't remember. So I was. This is like well over almost 3 decades ago. I don't remember the game in details because I haven't played it in so long. So as I'm playing remake, it's helping me remember like some aspects. Even like as I
Yeah.
finished remake, like a lot of things started like this last time, which was like what the fifth time. I'm able to remember a lot of things about it.
Hmm.
So I remember seeing that some people had issues with the way remake is because they thought it was just like a HD remaster. It's not quite
Yeah.
that. In fact, if you, I can't remember the creator's name, but I think we were talking about this, Rose. I think this is what we're going to be getting in this new sequel compilation. Is what the creator wanted, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I think it's like what aspects of the story and the game as a whole that they might not have been able to get across because of limitations at the time, whether that be because of
Voice acting.
technology. Yeah, you know what I mean. Even political stuff. You know what I mean? Just like different agendas that people have going at the time, and different things that you can or cannot put in a video game.
Mm,
Different narratives that they want to be told or pushed or conflict with certain things, whatnot. You know, all those different aspects put together into, you know, what they felt like would have been able to get across today.
mm. And well, I know some people, at least as a remake, didn't love it, and I think it's also important to contrast the original Final Fantasy VII versus this new trilogy compilation. So Final Fantasy VII, one of the main themes about the game was death, right? Like Aerith dying suddenly, the Sector 7 drop, which like I was doing research on it, as I was doing this last playthrough to remember the game, and like
Yeah,
50,000 people died. That's crazy.
in the plate dropping.
Yeah, the play dropping.
Yeah,
And like you don't really get into like read about and you realize like there's people at the top of it and there's people under
and below.
and below. And that just to wipe out like a small, I guess I would argue a small militia.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh,
50,000, right?
yeah. It's
Um,
it's it's wild.
it gave so just a side note, it gave replaying that, having that in mind this time about the 50,000, which I didn't know before.
Hmm.
It gave a sense of grandiose, sublime effect when I was on chapter 6. When you're climbing the plates and you're getting to Shinra and you're seeing
Because you
this,
can
like
see it,
you
the
can see it. And I'm like,
desolation.
oh, I'm like, there's a lot of people. This is like thousands and thousands just gone,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
even watching, I watched, we both watched Advent Children. You kind of can just listen to it at this point, but even for me, I was watching Advent Children, seeing like the rubble of Sector 7. I'm just like, yo,
Yeah,
it's a lot of destruction. And you don't really get
yeah.
into you like really grasp your head around 50,000, right? And so yeah, so 7 is about death. Aerith dies suddenly, the Sector 7 plays drop. We have the weapons attacking cities. For people that don't know, I'm not gonna explain. Play the game, watch videos, you'll get a better idea of that. And so remake is different. Remake and rebirth are not that. Even just the names itself, right? And it's in and of itself. Remake, rebirth, to redo, to change. And that's really what this main theme of this game is. This new franchise for trilogy for the compilation is change.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I found that's powerful. And you saw that with like the whispers and the whispers slash the pattern. I would say like the whispers are more like, I know what you'd say. I would say the whispers are like an agent for the planet.
yeah. Definitely something to keep things in order. You
The
know, with
status quo.
yeah, how they want things to go. You know, keep the balance and keep everyone on track.
Yep.
Is it?
And so I felt that was really a cool way of tying into generational trauma. The technical term would be transgenerational trauma because it passes. So trans as
Passes,
in like
right?
moving. Yeah. So for myself, I found I wanted something different for my family, like the family I'm
Hmm.
starting with my wife, from what I grew up with and what I've seen on both sides of my family. Like I said, I'm half Nigerian, half Trini, so I have two very different histories that have a lot of, for lack of a better word, trauma around them.
Yeah.
And for instance, to give a little bit about myself, my grandmother on my Trini side, I don't know much about her. I do know her name was Delilah, and she had
Mm-hmm.
mental health issues. And those mental health issues affected my mom. And those mental health issues affected her and her siblings in terms of like their relational struggles, how they
Yeah.
relate to the opposite sex, how they relate to their kids, how my mom related to me. We worked out. My mom passed as of last year. This is my first time sharing this on the podcast.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sorry,
past
man.
January 1st, 2023. Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Blessings, blessings, bro.
thank you. It was tough last year. That's part of the reason why I didn't reach that many episodes, because it was just
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of catching up. Funeral, celebration of life,
Yeah.
clearing out her old place. It was just like felt like last year just felt like a constant catching up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to ask myself, looking at my parents' marriage, where my dad's, placating to my mom's emotions. My mom just can't manage herself because, my mom never had a mom per se because this is what 1950s Trinidad. Like, what do they know about mental health? Like, what does
Yeah.
my grandpa know how to manage, your wife with mental health? You don't have the resources. We're just getting
Mm-hmm.
those resources now in the last like what 5-10 years, let alone what 1950, 1960s Trinidad. No one has the resources for that.
Yeah. Not
And
even
so those
the
things,
mind to try to even pursue it.
exactly. Right. So those things have passed, and this along with like how superstitious our people are, right? Like, juju, and you
Mm-hmm.
have witchcraft. No, it's mental health. Like, maybe, sure, maybe juju, maybe witchcraft, but like mental health, you're not
That's the
getting the
doorway.
therapeutic support that you need, right?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to make sure that I found a wife, someone who's gonna walk this journey of life with me, who also wants different for our family, to do things
Yeah.
differently.
It's
And to do things
important.
differently, sorry,
It's important. It's so
it's
important,
important.
bro.
And to do things differently means you have to want a different outcome, means you have to do things different. And that's the big core of Remake, right? I
Mm-hmm.
haven't played Rebirth yet. My copy's, where is it? I'm gonna grab it. The copy's still here. My PS5 is still unopened because I had to get through this game, and I did the last two chapters on hard mode. I couldn't remember how to play the game, so I had to watch videos on how the game works, and then I had to like chapter 16 to 18. I play on hard mode. This guy's laughing because he knows I was texting him my struggles. It was crazy. Like,
This guy,
like
bro.
halfway through 17 into 18, the game just whooped my ass. I was just like, I
Yeah.
went from,
You and me both, bro.
bro, I don't
Everybody.
remember having this hard of a time. Like, it's because I can't remember what the bosses do. So I just see Seth Roth jump up in the sky. He dropped. I see Heartless Angels. I'm just like, isn't that the move where everyone? Oh shit! And then like everyone's on 20 HP. I'm like, gosh,
It's like being on the court with Michael Jordan.
right?
Like you're supposed to be guarding him. You're like, oh, he's
And
dunking.
then you
That's
haven't
crazy.
watched or seen basketball in years, and now you're supposed to like figure out what he's about to do. You're like, I don't. What are you doing? Why are you jumping? Is that a fadeaway? Too late. You don't have time to
For real.
react. So
None.
yeah, so playing the last two chapters was definitely an experience. It just really um uh it's for that reason. Yeah, now I remember what I was saying. So yeah, I don't know what Rebirth is like per se, but it's probably along the same lines as Remake, the sequel. Um in that our I would say the core characters, obviously all the characters matter, but the core characters,
Mhm.
the four core characters in Remake is the planet, Cloud, Sephiroth, Aerith. I would say more so Sephiroth and Aerith are really like the core of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll expand on that because most people are like, but Cloud's my favorite character in the franchise, my favorite Final Fantasy character, period. Don't get it twisted. But like the
Mhm.
people who are really the big agents of what's going
Driving
on
forces.
is
Yeah.
is yeah, there we go. Driving force is really Aerith and Sephiroth. Don't let Prince Rose's background fool you. Um, or the background we have here. Cloud's like we love Cloud, but like he's not the guy. He's him, but he's not the guy,
Cloud's there.
right? And so the Whispers are um an agent of the planet, a status quo. So for those that don't know, the original timeline of Final Fantasy VII which is a very dilapidated, sad one, is the bad ending, which Red 13 says at the end of the game. If we fail today, this is what's going to be the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And what everyone is fighting towards is having something different. Now, the thing that was very interesting is that Sephiroth knows what he wants. He failed in what he wanted. So he's like, I'm going to do what I have to do to get a different outcome. Aerith, she is trying to go against the Whispers, but she's not fully committed to it.
Yeah.
And Cloud,
On the fence.
I would say, I don't think Cloud's not aware of everything that's happening, but the thing that made Cloud like a great leader made him a great leader is he's very decisive. He makes his decision and then like he just goes with it, for better or worse. You can see in Advent Children when he isolated himself. You can see it when it comes to quests, whatever. Cloud he's very decisive. That's probably one of his strongest qualities in the entire franchise. And the Whispers themselves, they're not good or bad. I think a lot of people like, oh, are the Whispers good? The Whispers bad? The Whispers are neither. You know, like I forgot what it's called. I think something like Magic the Gathering or something, or Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like chaotic neutral, chaotic bad, lawful good. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know what it's called, but where it's from. But the Whispers are just neutral. They're neither good or bad, right? They saved Barrett when he got stabbed by Sephiroth, but they also pushed Wedge from trying to help.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he was supposed to fall from time, bro.
Yeah. And so you could even see that with how like they didn't want Aerith to spend too much time with Cloud. But then, you know, they're blocking Cloud and his party from seeing the experiments underground after you beat the parents' science project of Hojo. Like they're even preventing Hojo from attacking them any further. They're just doing their best to create a certain outcome. And
what is that? What was that called again?
You're talking about the big, like slimy one underground, or you're talking about
like that? Yeah, you play that section in intermission, by the way.
Oh, really?
Integrate. Yeah.
Also, for those that don't know, I didn't play Integrate yet. Prince was going to help me with that, but have not played Integrate. I just played 7 Remake. I was going to transition to Rebirth. He's like, I got you, bro. So I'm going to find out that aspect.
Deep ground. That's what it is.
Deep ground. Yeah, I know you fight. I know you fight Nero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see those super soldiers in like Rebirth, or I'm going to assume the third one's called Reunion. Here, Reunion too much to not be called.
Yeah. It just makes perfect sense. But like I can also see them throwing a curveball. I can see them throwing a curveball, but it would be too much of a missed opportunity for marketing.
True.
For them to not call it Reunion, because it's already like the biggest out loud said theme in the game.
Like, it's really connected to the word.
Yeah.
The Whispers aren't really doing anything bad or good. They're just trying to get their certain outcome. And I found that was very similar with when I started my relationship with them, and my wife, that people don't know. I'm sure you guys know her. What name is Deb? As well as when I was getting married. Getting married was very much. It felt like chapter 18 of Remake, in the sense of this is like the lastest effort to prevent or to go towards change. I think what was the thing that Eris said? This is like sorry, go on.
Boundless, terrifying freedom.
Yes. Not that one though. I forgot what it was. I think it was Red 13 that said it. It was like, this is the last ditch attempt of the planet to preserve itself. I forgot what something along the lines. That's really where I was at. And it got me thinking in terms of just the experience of like wanting something different and getting that resistance of that not happening, because the Whispers in my life, if you will, quote unquote, are they don't want things to change. They don't want me to change. And I'm in the process of changing. I want, like I would say if I had to identify someone, yes, like Cloud is my favorite character, but also identify in that sense, like I want a different outcome. And when like Aerith posed that option to Cloud, he was just like, change. First of all,
Mhm.
I'm tired of people screaming in my head. I have a migraine. Secondly,
Yeah.
I want change. And he just went to it.
Mhm.
That's something that I very much identify with. It's not so much like am I sure, am I not sure? It's no, I never like the idea of my future and my outcome being written out for me,
Mhm.
being presupposed and predestined. Like I'm just here and I'm supposed to just do that thing. I never like the idea of that. Um,
Yeah.
I want
Unfulfilling.
exactly like for people to make. So when you're making my decisions for me, you're also making my mistakes for me, and I'd rather make my own mistakes myself than for someone to do them for me.
Mhm.
Because at that point, it doesn't feel like a life that I got to live. I don't know if you've had some experience in terms of this whole whispers and challenges and resistance to change, Rose. I wanted to also get like your perspective and experience on this stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I think I have probably been that the most and the biggest in my life for to and for myself.
Right.
Um, it's so funny though, even the words that I'm about to use, like it's like I'm harboring different opinions and different thought streams that may not even be mine. And it's like you have to defeat that whisper harbinger. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Because it's over there harboring whispers that don't
mm,
belong to you. For me, that was, like I said, myself in terms of just getting out of certain habits that would
mm.
prevent the changes that I would want.
I feel that.
Um, Particularly, um, like when Janet got pregnant with our son,
Mm,
we it's like a flip, a switch just flipped in me,
mm,
and like it wasn't necessary, it wasn't really intentional. I
mm,
can definitely say that in hindsight, if I was in full, if I felt like I was in full control of that process, yes, I did flip that switch, but it was like something more so just took
take over
over.
you. Right.
You know what I mean? And like it's like it blocked out anything that wasn't aligned with what I felt in my heart I really knew I needed to do.
Mm,
I turned into a very fierce protector.
mm.
I turned into I don't not to say I turned into, but
Became.
I brought out
Mm,
aspects because I
okay.
was always these things,
Right.
right? I brought out these aspects within myself
Mm,
to even understand how to utilize my aggression
mm,
in an efficient way to protect, to lead, to establish ground and boundaries and solidarity and principles. You know what I mean? Like I said, a flip just switched in me, and like so that is something I can relate to in terms of like those whispers. You
right.
know, family trying to tell you, oh, this is not good for the baby. Oh, you should do this when she's pregnant. You should look into this. That's not going to be good for you. Oh, do that. That. You shouldn't give him this. You should. I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Not interested.
Yeah. That
You know?
Rose, you're just you're preaching to the choir right now. For me too, I was dealing with the same thing. One of the big things I was discouraged from doing was actually for to encourage my wife and I to do premarital couples therapy. Like,
Mhm.
oh, if you're doing this already, that's not a good sign. And my notion was,
What do I know?
we often think that once you get married or you start living with your partner, all the problems go away. You can speak on this. I'm sure you know this or experience this. Whatever problems you guys were going through before, it just magnifies. It doesn't go
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Having a child too, you think the child will make it go away. It will magnify it. Let's address
There's
things.
less room to put stuff. There's less room to just try to sweep stuff up. You can't do that. Can't do that. Got to clean up, man. Feng shui.
You're more experienced than me in this regard. So yeah, that's exactly it, right? So my thing, looking at how I want a different outcome, and I'm seeing certain things play out a certain way in terms of our relationship, Deb and I. My thing was, okay, we need to address these things before these things start coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want. So there was a big thing that I saw during COVID. We weren't living together yet because we weren't like married and et cetera, et cetera. But I remember, I don't know if you've seen this yourself. Uh, where you were living, I think you said you were in Pickering before.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing men sitting in their cars during lockdown. Do you remember? Did you
Oh,
see that?
yeah. All
Okay.
the time.
And my thing was, okay, how did he get to this point? So
Yeah.
I actually was having a conversation with one of my friends. She caught up, and this is perfect to bring this into this conversation. She was dealing with some crazy ghetto hood rat shit. I won't go into detail. It's her personal life, but like it was some crazy ghetto hood rat shit. And the thing that like I was asking her, and the thing I often ask people is like, have you like reverse engineered people's circumstances or your parents? So, you know, my dad is resentful. My dad is resentful in his marriage. Okay, how did he become resentful? He wasn't born resentful,
Yeah.
right? So there has to have been a certain experience he went through in his life that got him to where he is. Or why is he sitting in his car? What got him to this point where he got there? And just really like really reverse engineer, work backwards. Like, how did he get to this point
Mm.
where it's just so far gone? Right. And one of those things is like you don't want to come home to her. She doesn't bring you peace. And as much as like, yes, us men, we love sex. Sex is great. Thumbs up. Two thumbs up, actually. Cisco, two thumbs up. Great stuff. But the thing that men really need is peace. And that has not been talked about for so long. And so
Yeah.
I had to really ask myself, I'm like, okay, if peace is like, how is it every day you're making her understand that peace is the imperative for me to want to come home, especially in the line of work I do. I work a lot with women. I work a lot with young people.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy for me to just not come home. You may think I'm like this special great man. I'm like, I'm human just like everybody else. I'm not that special. So how can I prevent that stuff from happening and really just reverse engineer? I'm like, okay, well, do I like coming home to her? Is she giving me a reason to come home every day? And just really
Mm-hmm.
working for. I remember we had like her and I had like this really like big fight years ago, and I was just like, nah. I was like, nah, this cannot be my life. This cannot be my life. And I was just like, and so we worked through those things in couples therapy. And so
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that therapists actually praise us for is like, wow. First they thought like we're getting divorced. I'm like, whoa, I haven't even proposed yet. we're not we're not even we're not there. And they're surprised that like we were doing in advance because what the therapists were telling me is that most people wait until they're on the verge of divorce.
Yeah, and it's like that's not gonna. It's yeah,
By then it's typically too late.
yeah, and it's not gonna save it. And if anything does get saved, it wasn't the therapy. Not
Exactly.
not not in a bad way. You know what I mean? I'm sure that it
Yeah.
could help, but like it it's gotta help because you make it.
Exactly. And like if you're both like just checked out of the marriage or relationship, then like couples therapy is not going to do anything for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we ended up doing, so like they actually praise us for this. So like where we're at now is a much healthier space where we're able to um talk about things and deal with things as opposed to, just as you said, sweeping under the rug and just, we'll just not talk about it, it'll just go away. Right. And that was a big thing for me, just reverse engineering how my parents got to where they are and what am I doing to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
And doing just, yeah, the main thing was just doing things differently. But the thing with that is, like I said, just like people were saying not to do couples therapy and this and that, there were whispers, little whispers in my ear of how I should and shouldn't do things.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time I thought that they were, because we're human, that they were malicious, that they meant ill will towards me and Deb and our family, etc., etc. But I
Yeah.
came to realize that, like, no, it's not that they're malicious. Just like the whispers, they're a product of the results that they
Yeah.
want. They're a product of their environment. They're a product of just circumstance. They're not bad or good. They just are, because that's all that they know.
Is. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a good perspective to understand. I
Mhm.
definitely resonate with that as well. It can cause a person a lot of turmoil
Mhm.
to fight that battle, because so long as you're in the mindset to feel like that is what your opposition is, you're always going to run into it. You know what I mean? As so long as anyone has any way of expressing what they feel, because it's just the nature of things, you know? Just like you said, it is what it is. It's neither good or bad.
It just is.
It just is, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's a lot easier to handle things. It's a lot, and you know, we're talking about like stepping into like our masculinity, with having families.
Hmm.
And like, once you to kind of tie into the masculine piece is like, you and I were talking about as we're stepping into it, we're just like okay with people don't like us. We're
Yeah.
okay if we make people uncomfortable. It's like, that's not my responsibility to make you feel comfortable. It's not my responsibility to get you to like me.
Hmm.
It's not my responsibility for you to understand what I'm doing for my family, whatever it is. Like, interpret it how you want. I don't care. I don't
Hmm.
care. It's not my responsibility. Um, yeah, and so like coming to terms with that too, just dealing with people not liking me too, it makes it a lot easier for me to look past the whispers for figuratively and literally, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just, oh man, I just wish that they would understand, or I just wish that they would support me. It's like, what if they do? What if they don't? What are you gonna do? You're gonna like stop living?
Yeah.
It's
Can't
always
do
it's
that.
always going to be the case. It's always going to be around. The haters, quote unquote, will always exist. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, I don't know how you feel about her and people like this. I'll ask you on it, but like, I have, so like there's a quote from Aerith from Final Fantasy, was I thought of leaving the wall. I think she was talking to, I think it was Cloud or Tifa when she said this in the game. I
Mhm.
thought of leaving the wall, but it's too much, so much life. Like, like almost overstimulation to leave
Yeah.
Midgar. It's a lot easier just staying here, and I guess you could say this bubble. Um, what to say? And so, for me, I've learned to have greater compassion and understanding for people that are like Aerith, who never really leave. I almost said Sector 7.
The
I think
show.
she's in 5.
Yeah.
People who never leave Sector 5. People who never leave Midgard. People who,
Midgar.
right, who don't want to necessarily abide to the whispers and what's being told of what they should do in life, but at the same time haven't made that. So there's a thing in social work called, I forgot the stages of change. And so people have to,
Hmm.
like, I forgot what they are in detail. I've talked about it before on the podcast, where it's like it takes a while before you actually change. And so I've learned to not have, because sometimes you're like, bro, why don't you just like get a job, or why don't you just leave your parents, right? Like, it's clearly
Hmm.
making you miserable and just affecting all facets and aspects of your life. And it used to frustrate me that people would be like this, but I've come to a better understanding of just like, you just haven't fully committed yourself to the idea of change because it's scary.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing, that's the reason why Aerith, she was like, she's both trying to resist the whispers, like, talking with Cloud longer. um
Hmm.
what else did she do? There's a couple things that she did, but for the most part, everything that happened in Final Fantasy Remake that was canonical, as opposed to breaking from the timeline, was through her. Almost everything canonical happened with her.
Yeah.
She even though she knew what was going to happen, and she knows the outcome of her dying, she'd rather go with that timeline than to break away from it, because like the unknown timeline leads to unknown consequences and circumstances. So it's better that I just play along with how things are and to not create any problems. Even though I want to, and she kind of did, like, like how, like, when they're in the church and they're upstairs and they're about to leave,
Yeah.
Reno and and Shinra, she was almost about to explain what the whispers were, but then she's like, I won't.
Yeah.
Or knowing about Sector 7 about to drop the plates, and she
The
kind of want to
thing
say
about
something. He was
Marlene.
like, "What are you not saying?" And she's like, "Nothing." Or when Cloud even said, "What was it like?" I think Sephiroth's still alive, and she just kind of changed the subject. Like everything canonical happened with her, but you
Hmm.
can see how she still also didn't want things to play out a particular of the Advent Children timeline. How like when it comes to people like that? How do you feel about them? Like I guess you could say before and now, before having a family and now,
Hmm. See, before that
before family and now.
and now.
Yeah.
Mm, I'll start. So before, I would more so, yeah, I'd get frustrated where it pertains to me and what I'm trying to drive forward to.
Hmm.
I think particularly because I'm a, I don't want to say I'm a very X, Y, and Z person, but
Logical.
yeah, it's, I have a high function of it. Don't
Mm.
want to just say that's my streamline, but I do
Right.
have a high function of that
Right.
quality and aspect. So, um, yeah, there's been a lot of different times in my life where I would get frustrated, just like, you know exactly what to do. I know exactly what to do. I told you exactly what to do. I've shown you exactly what to do. We've gone through exactly how to do it. Why aren't you doing it? And in whatever aspect that comes, you know
For
what I
sure.
mean? So yeah, that's how I would look at it before, and I think it would cause me to either lash out in different ways, go into isolation, take on too much onto myself,
Advent Children Cloud.
right? And it's funny that in hindsight, I was doing the exact same things that those people were doing, just in a
Mm.
different way, because I could have just went and got more people or different people that I felt were more competent if I really
Mm.
wanted to do something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I could have expressed more patience. I could
Mm.
have been more proactive in um, aligning their strengths with my vision.
Mm.
You know what I mean? There's so many different things and different ways that I could have gone about getting to my goal
Mhm.
that I just don't feel as though, and it's something that I kind of admire about Sephiroth because he doesn't allow that aspect of humanity to block him from achieving what he wants. Like he's just very cut forward. He knows what needs to be done, and he uses what he has to at his range
Disposal.
and disposal
Right.
to get the job done, for better or for worse. And like I don't really feel as though he targets anyone untargetable.
Mm.
You know what I mean? If you are the type of person to put to I guess be made taken advantage of in a sense,
Mm.
he would do that. And like that's kind of how I was looking at like life was doing me like that,
Mm.
rather than just being like just get
What
on
do you
life,
mean?
get on life. Sorry, say that again.
Could you like expand more? Like you mean by like the vulnerable on the target thing? Like, could you expand more on that if you could?
Um, say in what sense?
Like how? Like in what ways did that happen? Specificity, I guess you could say. Like specific. If you can give specific examples.
For myself.
Yeah.
Um, well, there's incidents that like a couple things where I wasn't getting along with certain family members with Jen, and we'd go back and forth about different ways of doing things and how it would benefit each party, and
Mm,
feeling like certain things were not being met. They weren't being acknowledged. They weren't,
mm,
you know what I mean, on both
yeah.
sides. You know what I mean? And rather than everyone just looking at things as like what we were saying before as what it is, we were
Mm,
looking at it like, nah, like I've explained myself how many different times. At this point, you're attacking.
mm,
You know what I mean? You're doing this on purpose because I
mm,
like I either choose for you to think that you're dumb or choose that you're being inconsiderate. Which one
mm,
is it? You know, either way, that's how I was looking at it, rather than to be like, no, you're being dumb and inconsiderate, like
mm,
myself.
mm,
You know what I mean? I'm being dumb for not understanding that everyone has their own range of emotions and ways that they express it, and their own viewpoint, standings, and experiences that bring them as to what they are. You know
yep.
what I mean? And then just being inconsiderate because if I know that, why aren't you giving anyone and everybody the grace to be what they
Grace.
are?
Ooh, grace. That's grace and compassion. It's
You
tough.
know, it's tough, bro. It's
It's
very
tough.
tough,
I feel
especially
that.
especially like when you have that capacity and that understanding, you know, and like that's kind of what I was saying, what I was kind of like relating it to Sephiroth. As much as he is a villain, like
Hmm.
he's talking to Cloud through the whole thing. He's telling
Hmm.
him exactly what's going on. He's honest. He's you know what I mean.
He knows
He's
what he wants, right?
he
And
knows what he
and
wants. He's straight. He's straight up with it.
and
And he's
that's
like,
why
this is what I'm gonna
Cloud is.
do. If you want to do something, if you want a different outcome than what I want, you're gonna have
Mhm.
to do something about it. But I'm not doing. I'm doing what I'm doing.
I'm
So
doing what
everyone
I
in my
want.
exactly. So everyone who's in my vicinity, I'm letting you know what my will is. If it is not
Hmm.
your will to have this reality, don't be here,
Hmm.
or just understand that I'm the boss.
Yeah. Basically, you're
You know what
welcome.
I mean?
You're welcome to stay if you want, and if you don't, then
Exactly.
keep it pushing.
And I think that Cloud is also a parallel to that,
Hmm.
and he has those same aspects as well. It's just expressed differently
Yeah.
in the way that like he keeps the party together
Yeah.
with that same strength and conviction. It's just, you know, just like you said, expressed differently and
Yeah. It manifests in a
balanced.
different, albeit
Yeah,
healthier way.
through the therapy,
Yes.
through the therapy for sure.
Yes. And Aerith would not be a good foil to Sephiroth without Cloud. Like there's
For
even
sure.
when when you're at the what's it called, Destiny's
Destiny's
Crossroads at the end.
Crossroad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can like talk to everybody before you enter the portal. She
yeah.
says, Aerith says to thank you, Cloud. And it got me to think for a second, like, what does it mean? Because it's such a very bare bones thing for her to say. Like everyone's like, oh,
Yeah,
ready to do this to this. Her is just like
thank you.
Barretta's like, oh yeah, we got this. And Tifa's like, ready when you are. Aerith is just thank you, Cloud. And the thank you, from my interpretation of it, I don't know what you think, is really helping her have the resolve to face Sephiroth, to actually challenge Destiny and the Whispers. Because Cloud's like, yo, these Whispers, bun them. I'm tired of people screaming in my ear. Like I said, I'm tired of people screaming in my ear. I have headaches, got migraines, and I'm gonna do what I want. I don't really care. I'm gonna do what I want. And that is such a great foil to Sephiroth, who also wants his own outcome. Unfortunately, Cloud is really and truly just a super soldier, which are like the coolest things. You were like, I was texting about that. What was it today? I was like,
Yeah.
super soldiers are like the best of both worlds. I'm thinking of like the MCU with like Bucky and Black Panther and Captain America, how they're just
Yeah.
like outrunning cars and grabbing motorcycles while they're on and flipping them and riding the motorcycle without handles and throwing shields. And so I'm like, first of all, that's impossible.
Riding
Like,
on trains and
so,
fighting on cars and that
right?
are going 180 kilometers per hour.
Right. And it's just like, first of all, that's impossible. First, you can't drive a
You have
motorcycle without
gravity boots?
sorry.
Like, do they have gravity boots?
Yeah, I was just like, that's impossible. Yeah, and then you're on trains and you're like somersaulting on the trains in the air. First of all, how are you somersaulting in the air? That makes
Velocity.
you said
Velocity. Velocity.
velocity. That's the reason.
I know, I'm saying, like, you're gone. You're supposed to not be
Yeah, no,
there
you should
anymore.
have. Well, nope, doesn't happen.
You know what I mean?
Makes no sense.
That's
I'm
so
like, that's
hilarious.
physically impossible. I'm seeing Captain America jump from like he's literally doing parkour on moving vehicles to get back on. I'm like, first of all, that's impossible. But it's the thing with
They're
super
fifth
soldiers. Like,
dimensional.
sorry,
They're fifth dimensional beings.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But like the thing I love about super soldiers in like all media is like it's just it's just possible enough. If you get what I'm trying to say, like it's not like flying. They're not
Yeah.
flying. They're just jumping from like they're just jumping from one
They're doing human
moving
shit.
motorcycle to
They're
another.
just
Sorry?
super doing. They're doing human
It,
stuff. They're just super doing it.
exactly. So you're just like, oh wow.
You know what I mean?
I wish I and but the thing is, but at the same time, you know, like I physically can't do that.
No.
There's no amount of training I can do to somersault on a train while it's
No.
moving, while lasers.
Fighting. Lasers are getting shot at you. You're dodging
Exactly.
drones, and
Yeah,
and you
it's
have to swing
impossible,
you have to swing two swords at the same time
right? In the
and
air,
duck the bridge.
right? I was like, that's impossible. Like, what's it like? Yeah, first, like, what's it called? You have to fight the boss on the highway, and like, Cloud gets under and like cuts it from under while his motorcycle's moving, and then catches Red 13. I'm like, that's impossible. First of all, you let go of the handle. The motorcycle turns off at that point, or stops moving. It becomes some level. I don't have motorcycles, but I'm pretty sure if you let go of the handles, to some extent, it becomes immobile. Thank you, but you're just cutting. First, that's impossible. You can't do that.
Listen, man. You know what the funny thing is too, is that while the cutscene's happening, I'm not questioning anything.
Yeah, no. Oh shit, this guy's sick. Like even watching Advent Children, I'm seeing Yazoo catch Law's gun while he's going over his head to shoot him under. I'm just like,
these guys are next level.
Super soldiers.
These guys are next level, bro. These are the things that I used to like daydream about, like walking down the streets. Like I would just like I used to imagine I was like Inuyasha. You know what I mean? Just hopping like, from rooftops to rooftop.
So convenient.
That's how I got to school. You know what I mean? My body was walking on the sidewalk and stuff, but
your mind was
bro. Like
I was like, why can't I do that? I'm not that athletic, but like it'd be kind of cool. Like drive a motorcycle without the handles.
Oh man.
Yeah, it even makes me think of like when I don't know if you know how many of the MCU movies you watch, but like Captain America versus Winter Soldier, and he's like he throws a knife in there and catches it in the other hand and punches Captain America. I'm like, first I would have stabbed my hand.
The coordination, the thinking of that and under pressure, extreme. But you're fighting Captain America,
right? It's not some ordinary guy.
You know what I'm saying?
You're catching the knife without stabbing your hand with the handle. Like that's crazy.
And he barely even moved too. It was like,
yes. Like I can't even. I wouldn't even play with that with a butter knife. I'm gonna cut it in my hand.
Wrestling a guy at the same time, like in clash with a guy who can lift up a train.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to super soldiers. Shout out to super soldiers. Best form of media. Whether it's anime, video games, or comic books, super soldiers. They're as you said, they're doing human stuff. They're just doing it in a super fashion.
And the only thing that's better than them is a rogue super soldier.
Besides Bucky, who else are you talking about?
That's Cloud.
Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he is a rogue. That is fair. He is a rogue.
He's an ex-soldier.
By the way, I don't feel like Roche is like third class. He feels more like second class, in my opinion.
Freaking Roche, bro. I don't know that. I don't know.
Like it says he's third, but I'm like, nah, he's not third. He looks more like second class to me. Not first. He's definitely not first class.
I feel like he's probably third class because of his antics and his attitude.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's like he probably hasn't gone through certain regimens and training stuff that you have to go through to get the qualifications and blah blah. It's like, yeah, fuck it.
Fair enough.
I just want to ride.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's very rogue-like, so that's fair.
You know?
Yeah, because I'm like, you're not third class. We fight third class. They're not. He's not third class.
I wonder about that guy, man. I'm like, who is this nigga, dog?
I don't know.
Who is this guy, bro? Kind of looks like Cloud too. Like, don't get me into that string.
Well,
there's parts of me that think that Cloud is related to Rufus.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but I don't really think so. But it's like
I don't see that.
There are theories that President Shinra is Cloud's dad.
Blonde hair. Okay.
I don't think that he is though. But there are theories that because like President Shinra, I think has like three other sons.
Yep.
And
3 total.
In this theory, 4 including Cloud. So it's Rufus.
I can't remember the other 2.
I can't remember the other 2, but like yeah, they're in these books.
Okay.
But yeah, the timelines just kind of like are they match up similarly. And
they never revealed who Cloud's dad is, so okay.
Yeah, but who knows? Like there's other stuff that's in Ever Crisis and Their First Soldier that introduces different characters too. So there's other possibilities as well. So who knows? There's there's this soldier called Glenn, who's named Glenn. Who like
I was reading up about him.
Have you seen Glenn? He looks like fucking Cloud.
He looks like a butch version. He looks like a butch, beefed up version of Cloud. Yeah.
Now remember what Cloud's mom looks like.
Okay.
Now if you.
Okay, I have to look at the images again.
Oh man, you're gonna be blown away. You're gonna be blown away.
Okay, like, I'm gonna look at that after this. Okay.
You'll be blown away.
But yeah, so the thing with Cloud is that he's very decisive, like Sephiroth. He knows what he wants. He's just gonna go for it, and he just sticks with that. Unlike Aerith, who she had a hard time deciding. She has the power to stop Sephiroth, but she's not fully committed. She doesn't want to really and truly. She doesn't want to upset the Whispers because maybe it's better to go exactly with the status quo as opposed to challenging it. And I found that was such a great contrast. That it's not just like Cloud is sort of like this bystander in the story. Like he's very integral to this story to help it move forward, both in the original and in this remake timeline. And I found that very interesting. And then with regard, that's what I want to say. We obviously can't do this without having some, masculine terminology. And so the thing I was looking at Aerith is that she fits like everyone fits like an archetype trope, but subverts it. With Aerith, she's I forgot. I'm trying to find the term. I had it written down. I think it's called. It's real, by the way, because you may, bro, that's cap. It's real. Manic. A friend actually showed it to me. Manic fairy pixie girl.
I can understand already.
Yeah, so it's like you are, she's happy and she's energetic and she's bubbly and she's always able to handle your broody, serious nature and makes life full of fun and life and. She's not really asking for anything. She's just there basically to exist to make the main character happy. And she very much fits that. By the way, your video froze. I don't know if you knew that.
It did. What's going on?
Let me see if I can move you down and then bring you back up and let's see what happens.
A window.
Okay, now the screen's black. They don't want us talking, bro. Well, I'll continue my point and this guy has always Final Fantasy. He's ready. Now I'm seeing like a picture of Cloud as you picked. Okay. This guy's ready. He's ready for this episode, even before I even conceived it. Yeah, so she fits the manic magic pixie girl. I forgot the full term. And so as much as she's bubbly and she's happy, and you could see her being like this sort of like ideal quote unquote wife woman. You know, she's happy, she
Hmm.
loves flowers, she's beautiful, she dresses modest, she helps with the children, she helps the community, she helps at the orphanage, she has a great relationship with her mom, like everything you could, yeah, now you're back. Everything you could ever want in like a wife or woman, she fits that definition. Um, which is funny, but she also subverts that because she's very, in a lot of ways, melancholic, very thoughtful, very
Yeah,
foreboding in terms of what's happening
hyper
in the
aware.
exactly. And a lot of her also fits into, I don't know if you ever heard of this term, it's called Marianismo.
No.
So everyone heard of everyone's heard of machismo. So it's like, to be masculine and macho. Whatnot. Marianismo is the female version of that, where you're supposed to be,
Okay.
as much as men are supposed to be very like stoic and strong, she's supposed to be very self-sacrificing and virtuous.
Accepting. Yeah.
Yes. And so she fits into that, and as well as this, sort of queen mother goddess trope where she's just in contact with the planet and she intuitively knows what's happening with Earth and planet Gaia and can read the plants, can read the children, can like instantly empathize with Marlene, Barrett's daughter. Like she's able to do all of those things. Yet still, the thing I liked about it is that once again, unlike what we get often in media, where like basically what would have if it was like if this was put on Netflix, Cloud would just be a passerby. Actually, no, not so much Netflix. I would say Netflix more like Amazon Prime, where Cloud would be a passerby. He would be like irrelevant to the story. Maybe comes
Mhm.
in to fight Sephiroth a couple times because Aerith can't physically fight him, but otherwise he'd be irrelevant, right? And be really just all about like Aerith and her being this ultimate woman who knows intuitively what to do, and the guys are just in the background.
Yeah. The story
Red
is about
13,
her.
exactly. Red 13, Cloud, Barrett, they're just kind of here. It's really about Tifa and Aerith, but more so Aerith, right? So you can see as much as Aerith has a lot of powers, Cloud is very integral to help to push her to the next steps of what needs to be done. And I really like that. I liked how she became an unwilling ally of the Whispers. As much as you tried to fight them, everything, like I said, canonical happened because of her.
Mhm.
Even them going to save Tifa from Don Corneo. It was
Yeah.
Aerith who pushed for that, right? As much as
I
like it
was
was
like,
also a
she can
Gertrude's
take care
thing
of
for her.
herself.
Sorry?
I was like, she can take care of herself. She's like,
Exactly.
no.
No. Let's go help her.
Hmm.
And as much as it was a virtuous thing, at the same time it was also like this is you falling into what the Whispers want. Because during those times the Whispers weren't fighting back, right? They were just like,
Hmm.
good job, guys. Follow the timeline. You want
Yeah.
humans gone in 500 years from now,
I
right?
also I thought um that as much as I'll get back to it after. It's okay.
Okay, don't forget.
I
You,
won't. I won't. I won't.
you sure? Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, still continuing on Aerith, the thing that in terms of her and her indecision, I've dealt with that with people in my life, friends and family.
Hmm.
And the thing I often like to ask them, and this is even with my wife, is like there's been some times that we're like in what year and a half of our marriage, about to hit 2 years. And
Yeah.
we've
Congrats.
definitely hit some hurdles. Sorry?
I say congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Sure.
that. It's been a journey, and sometimes we hit certain hurdles where we catch ourselves repeating some of the things of our parents. Like for me,
Hmm.
I don't know if you can speak on this, but there's times where like we'll get into like a disagreement, maybe an argument. We don't really argue that much, but like a disagreement, and I'll fall into shutting down and just staying silent because that's what I did as a kid when my mom and my sister would get upset with me. They're not really encouraging me to like say what I'm thinking. They're just mad and just finger wagging.
Yeah.
And thinking back to our dads just being just like relegating themselves and their emotions to the corner. As much as we can complain about quote unquote patriarchy, even though it's not really the case for Black men, that really our moms take up a lot of the emotional space of the house.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even in the marriage, like the house. If mom's upset, shit. Right?
Yeah.
And so our dads just learn to stay silent. Like even if he's upset about something, it's like, is it worth saying it to my wife because this might be an argument? So I'm just gonna not say anything. And so even for me, I still catch myself where I'm like, I think I'm just gonna stay silent on this thing. I'm gonna stay silent on this matter. And I have to ask myself, and similar to her, sometimes too, I have to remind her, I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing? If we do this thing that we find more comfortable, which is, either me staying silent or her running high on her emotions, what environment are we creating? In terms of when we entered this marriage, we said, like, there's some great things about Nigerian culture, Trinidadian culture, Congolese culture, but there's also bad things about them. What things do we want to keep and what things do we want to leave behind? When I'm staying silent, I'm like, what am I teaching my kids? Yeah. What am I teaching my potential son? What am I teaching, my potential daughter? What less? Because they're gonna see, right? Like kids, like I said in our in the episode on Spy Family, kids are always watching. So what am I doing right now that's going to inform how they're going to make their own decision later on?
The course.
Exactly. It's always a thing. Like, what thing are you doing every day to change it, to change the outcome? Changing an outcome is tough because it requires constant, intentional decisions every day.
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything. Exactly. I don't know if there's any things that like you can speak on in terms of your circumstances and relationship when it comes to like, those everyday decisions that you don't repeat.
Absolutely. Again, bringing it back to my son, you know what I mean? Like the awareness that I try to maintain is integral because like I remember similarly to like, what you're saying, the mothers hold up a lot of the emotional space, and I remember as a kid, my mom sometimes would, not even sometimes, my mom would like this, when she was upset about shit, she'd like cuss about it, but not to anybody. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
just
on the
rant,
phone, walking around the house.
Yeah. Talking to herself, but like I'm talking to you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I catch myself doing that sometimes. I've caught myself doing that sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like I'm complaining about something that, like Janet leaves her slippers around. You know what I mean? She leaves her slippers around a lot.
Yep.
It's really no friggin' big deal, man. It's really no big deal. It's only a big deal when I'm already upset or frustrated about something.
Yeah.
And then I see it and then I'm starting to talk about it. I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Or just being mindful of the things that I'm saying, how I'm managing how I'm expressing my my frustration when I'm handling it calmly. You know what I mean? It's like what aspects of your character are you subverting to maintain your calm? Because those things that are in absence right now are still felt through other people or by other people, and like keeping that awareness, that's not something that I would always it's something that I would experience growing up and something that I, would catch myself doing now. So it's something that those are some things that I really I'm trying to break the habit of and like keep the awareness high to make sure I, you know what I mean, set a proper example. Emotional intelligence and awareness being able to express what it is that we're feeling. Like you're saying, like we've never really had the space or encouragement to do that, really. You know, me and Janet spend a lot of time and energy in trying to teach our son to just express himself, talk to us about how you're feeling. You know what I mean? Use abstract different things to express the way you're feeling. You know what I mean? It doesn't always just have to be I'm upset, sad. You know what I mean? Like, point to one of the colors that you're feeling that you think that you feel.
That's creative.
You know what I mean? What sound does it? What sound is inside of? What sounds in your inside of you right now? What does it sound like in there? You know, small little things like that. Those are some ways that I'm trying to break certain cycles of things. You know, I feel like a big part of everything is just awareness and expression. Stay aware of what's happening and
mindfulness. I think.
Yeah, keep the mindfulness. The presence of mind and the courage and the audacity. You know what I mean? To address. Audacity. You know what I mean? Keep your audacity. That's one thing I want to instill in my son. You know what I mean?
Keep your audacity. That's powerful.
You know? Because there's going to be a lot of people who are whispers. You know what I mean? Telling you, oh, this is the way it needs to be. If da 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 and da 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 da, and maybe sometimes those people are right, but maybe you're right too, and maybe you're right on time. In fact, you know what I mean, for something new. So you gotta keep your audacity.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you know, especially with like some of the issues with feminism is that, you know, you're constantly told to like, I remember being told, like, I remember, you know, even going on dates, like asking if she can cook and clean, or really just expressing or sharing my standards. I'm just immediately labeled as sexist. Or if I'm taking charge of a situation, I'm like, everything you're just doing is quote unquote toxically masculine, toxic, quote unquote misogynistic, quote unquote problematic. And, you know, along with, you know, the things you're taught in school by your female teachers. And, you know, luckily for me, I had my dad growing up, but when you don't have like that male presence, you don't know what it's like to be. And that's what I really like what you say. You don't know what it's like or what it means to be audacious. And that when you are audacious, the right things and the right people come to you.
Yeah. Or at least it definitely gives the opportunity for them to, you know, you got to pick and choose. With that audacity, there's going to be, you know what I mean, the flip side as well.
Yep.
Right. So you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah. I think we're talking about just, and I think I mentioned it before, like this, the liberating feeling of when people just don't like you for their own reasons. Not a part that you played. You're just being yourself and like, yo, who's this guy think he is?
You know,
he's so smart, good looking. I was like, I never said those things.
But thanks.
Right? I'll take it, but that's not what I said. You said that. You just projecting. Yeah. Right. And just doing that, like I said, with the whispers in my life, you know, when I was getting married and the wedding and everything, I lost some friends. Well, ex-friends now. You know, ex-soldier, ex-friends. Yeah, I lost some relationships. And, you know, I knew that when I got sorry?
That's healthy.
Yeah. And you know, when I went through that, you know, it really hurt losing those relationships. And you know, feeling hurt by it, but you know, doing therapy, talking about those things with my therapist, talking about those things, you know, with my wife, because you know, she was really hurt by some of those experiences too. Like she cried about it, because she knows she met and got to know some of those people, and just realizing that, like I said, they're a product of their circumstances and the outcomes that they go by. It's not it's not malice. It's not hateful. It just, like I said, the whispers are what they just are. They're not good. They're not bad. They just are. The planet just is. It just wants a certain outcome. It's not saying that,
Maintaining
like,
existence.
exactly. That's all that it is. And maybe you want more for your life, and that's great on you. But you can't expect everyone to want and see life the same way as you.
Absolutely.
And then there's a really good point that, like Sephiroth said, like at the end when they're at the edge of creation,
Mm.
and I loved it. It didn't hit me until this last playthrough. I liked the scene just because the whole fight and like Cloud like kind of doing Omni Slash versus Sephiroth, and you're like, bro, you're not
Mhm.
Advent Children, Cloud, relax.
Not yet.
You're not yet. Not yet. Relax. You're like level 50. If
Yeah,
you're assuming you
you
did
know
all the
what I
side
mean?
quests. It was be careful that which lies ahead. Sorry, be careful that
Mm.
which lies ahead doesn't exist yet.
Yeah,
And I
careful
love
now.
that because sorry, go on.
I was just replicating Sephiroth's voice. Careful now.
Yeah. Yeah. Careful now. And I'm just like, that's exactly it. In the sense of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to be, if you're trying to break things that happen throughout your families, like like I said, my grandfather on my Trinity side did not know what to do with my grandmother. Like he didn't have the resources to know what to do. And so that led into my parents and my dad not knowing how to, really in a healthy way be there for my mom without, placating to her. And so for me now, it's cultivating the resources in ways I can be there for my wife and thereby extension be
Hmm.
there for my family in a
Hmm.
healthy way. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. I'm figuring that out every day. I think we were talking about before we started recording. Dr. Tieson Johnson said the term, we're building the plane while flying it. My thing
Yeah.
was building the plane while flying it and also getting the degree to fly the plane all at
It's a
once.
lot to do.
It's a lot to do,
In the
right?
air.
And as you're doing that, you're heading into unknown territories. Like Sephiroth said, that which is ahead doesn't exist yet. What I'm working towards, what we're working towards is as fathers and husbands, as partners, is we don't even know, like we know what the outcome is. But like
Yeah.
those steps, I don't know if I'm stepping on gravel. I don't know if I'm stepping on soil. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm stepping on a
Yeah.
landmine. I'm literally just stepping and it's developing as it's going on. I see the destination.
Hmm.
But like I don't know what these individual. I'm figuring it out.
Trust me, man. I can definitely relate to that a lot.
Mhm.
Especially because, like, I think about that quote in a sense. It's like, just like you're saying, how Cloud is very headstrong about his decision making, and that's a big strength of his,
Mhm.
right? I, as much as I do feel like it's a big strength because of, spoiler alert for people who don't know, because of his psychosis, um,
Would it be categorized as psychosis?
pretty much.
Okay, I've heard people say disassociative, but like whatever. He has some mental health issues.
He has a mental.
He has some significant mental health issues.
um,
Yeah, but yeah, go on.
so I feel this like because of those aspects hindering his strengths, or it sets up bad scenarios for his strengths to walk through rather.
It
And I
presents a
think
bad
that
scenario. You said.
it's like it sets up a bad scenario for the strength in his character to even
Mm.
exist in, where it's like I think Aerith is acting as a force to balance and level Cloud
Mm.
to the way that you're saying, like, you have to pull in these different resources and things to be able to support and establish the relationship that you want with your wife,
Mm.
right? And that's not always going to be you per se. You might have to set up a node to do that through something or someone or whatever. Just, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, like, it's like Aerith helps Cloud do that, and Sephiroth saying, like, careful now, what what lies ahead doesn't exist yet. So like you can be as confident that you're going to get this thing as you want, but that same confidence can trample and destroy the road that you're trying to actually walk on to get there. And like that's what I was saying, I can relate to that because it's like thinking that I have all the answers and I know how things are supposed to go and how people are supposed to move and how you're supposed to do this and treat this and da 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 that. And I'm trying to take charge so much that like I'm destroying the canvas before I even get to paint.
Oof.
You know?
That's a creative bar right there. That's how you know Rose is a creator.
It just came to me.
Oh, you see, that's my point. That's right there. It made me think of Sakuna.
I love Sakura, bro.
Yeah, you know, like the
Don't
whole what
get
was
me
it? The whole
started, dog.
painting on a canvas, painting on without a canvas. It's like, damn,
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a
yeah.
crazy analogy.
Sukuna is the goat, bro. Oh, I have a crazy Sukuna shirt
Sorry, no,
too.
it's this.
You know, Sukuna.
Yeah, that's the guy. Um, but yeah, no, that's a great point. So as you don't know, I've so from my end, that quote hits differently because for you it's being mindful of not overdoing it, if you will, in terms of the decision and headstrong decisions. For me, it's more like I've dealt a lot with, and this goes back into, like I said, my wedding and so on and so forth, in a sense of being expected to know what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I know I want a different outcome. That's as far as I can tell you. Otherwise, I don't know the flip I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
building the plane, doing the degree, flying the plane. I don't, I'm trying to get the plane to land. I don't know if I'm gonna get wheels. I don't know if I'm gonna have wheels built in to land the plane by the time I arrive. Right?
Oh, trust me.
Right? I don't even know if I'm gonna have the gel to handle if we hit winters. I don't know. But I'm figuring out it. So for me, it's dealing with people sometimes expecting me to know, and I'm like, honestly, maybe I'm giving off the impression that I do, but I don't. I'm figuring it out
That's
because
really cool. Not everyone's able to do that.
you mean like say that they don't know or what?
Yeah, just really, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. People like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm in unknown every day. I would say, you know what? I would say every day since couples therapy. I would say yeah, since then every day is unknown.
Hmm.
Every day has
It's
been unknown. I would say that was like my
it's
remake
interesting.
divergent path thing right there.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I don't know. My wife surprises me every day. I surprise me every day. The young people I work with surprise me every day. Um, our families on both sides surprise me every day. So ever since that day, it's been I don't know. We're about to find out. I'm trying to ignore these whispers from like blocking my path. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Um,
It's beautiful.
It's just like as you can say, people learning to understand that, like, why would you do that? I'm like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know. I had to try, but I knew if I did this, I was gonna get the same outcome as before,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's what I don't want. The last thing I want to repeat is the family dynamics. There's some good aspects in family dynamics, otherwise I wouldn't be who I am today.
For
But
sure.
the family dynamics and marital dynamics that my parents had, I didn't want the same thing.
You don't want the bad ending.
I don't want the Advent Children bad ending,
Hmm.
right? Because we
For
could go
sure.
for that ending, and we know exactly. And here's the thing: this is the reason why I can empathize with Tifa so much, is because, sorry, not Tifa. I know I said Tifa. Aerith. The reason I can empathize with Aerith so much is because at least we know what one of that past lead to, right? The Advent Children, as
Hmm.
much as like it's dark, it's dilapidated. 500 years in the future, humans are extinct. The planet gets what it wants. It's able to
Allegedly.
thrive and be itself. The only people that exist are like Red 13 species because they don't die. Um, Meteor gets stopped. Sephiroth eventually doesn't become an issue with the live stream. Geostigma doesn't affect the planet anymore. Basically, this is Aerith dies, but at least we know exactly what this path is. We know exactly
Hmm.
what this outcome is. It's absolute, it's definite, and we can brace ourselves for it. as opposed to, it, if you will, it's a steel sky, if you will, even though like Midgard becomes overrun with forest. As opposed to, I really like the dialogue at Destiny's Crossroads with Tifa and Aerith,
Mm-hmm.
where Aerith purifies the portal that Sephiroth made, because he made a Sephiroth
Yeah.
portal. I actually wonder what would happen if they tried to cross when he made it. I wonder what would happen, but I don't know if I'll ever know.
I think that
Even
he
Mhm.
probably. I think that they. I think Cloud went, and that's where he was when at the edge of creation.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, they definitely went somewhere, so I can believe that. Um, Man, there was a great point, a great part of dialogue between Aerith and Tifa. So, Cloud initially asks, why'd you stop me? And Aerith's like, honestly, I don't know, but we know, Aerith,
Mm-hmm.
why you stopped him. And Tifa asks, what will we do on what will we find on the other side? And when we think of things like one of my favorite franchises, Guilty Gear Soul, his belt buckle says free. When you think of Gundam Seed, Destiny, the main character's Gundam is a freedom Gundam. When we think
Mm-hmm.
of, even as much as it's in a darker aspect, it's more from a lacking aspect. When we think of freedom in the Attack on Titan series, it's freedom is always attributed to good. It's
Mm-hmm.
something to aspire to, as opposed to the opposite. And so I really like how Aerith sees freedom. Even Captain America is all about like freedom and justice. Like, it's freedom and justice is always just a really good thing. Aerith
Mm-hmm.
says, responding to Tifa, what's on the other side is freedom, boundless, terrifying freedom. So I'll say the rest in a bit, but I love that part.
Yeah.
Boundless, terrifying freedom. So as much as we're able to make our own choices, now we can make any choice.
You
That
can really
choice could
mess
be
this thing
worse.
up. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And that's terrifying. It's genuinely terrifying. Not to, be a pun on what Aerith said. Is true. It's boundless, terrifying freedom. We don't know what can come from from these decisions that we're about to make.
Mm-hmm.
And that's powerful, right? Like, when you decide to do things different from your family, when you decide to avoid repeating the same cycles that you grew up in, whether it's poverty, marital issues, I don't know, whatever you experience, um, um, yeah, academics, I don't know, but when you decide to make a different choice for yourself, it means that, like, you're going to be exposed to more choices, as opposed to if you went for the Advent children path, the absolute path that that you've seen, that you've experienced. You know exactly what the choices are to make. You know
Just
exactly how
one
to
door
create
after the
that.
next.
Sorry.
As I say, it's one door after the next, opposed to
Exactly.
opening a door and seeing three.
This guy, yes, Rose, just out here. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Exactly which doors to open, as opposed to just going to door and experiencing what's on the other side. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly it. And so even like, and so Tifa goes on. Sorry, I know I keep saying Tifa. Aerith goes on and says, "But if we do stop Sephiroth, we'll be changing more than fate itself. If we succeed, if we win, we'll be changing ourselves." And I guess that's why I hesitated. So not only are we changing the outcome of
Mm-hmm.
of where we're headed, it also means that we ourselves will change. And that's crazy, because it means that I don't know who I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to like this new version of myself. I don't know. And this is something I experienced, like I said, if people around me, my whispers, the people I've previously cared about, are going to be accepting of this new version of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure in terms of the steps that you've taken with Jada and Jada too, like, you guys have changed. You're not who you
Oh,
were when you were like 21,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, bro.
And I'm sure
Completely
that
different.
not, sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, I just said completely different.
Yeah, and I'm sure not everybody's been in agreement with who Rose is now.
Not even me sometimes.
I feel that. I feel
You
that.
know? That's
Like I
just
said,
real
just like
though.
I'm deciding if I want to open up the PS5 tomorrow. I'm just like I have other responsibilities, but I'm just like I've also been pretty responsible this week. I need to like let's go dumb with this game. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like everybody might not be okay with who you are now.
It's true. It's necessary though. I always feel as though the things and the people, you don't even have to, whatever is not supposed to be there it's gonna find an opportunity to fall off.
Deb said the same thing.
You know, that's amazing that she does. It's so real though, and it's just a matter of being aware of when those things happen and knowing and understanding the nature of it, being able to recognize the energy or the patterns, the signature that it leaves. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Say,
And being
oh,
okay
I'm
with that.
hmm hmm seeing it and just being like, oh, like, okay, uh, I understand what this is. I understand what this is. I know what I'm probably going to feel. Mm. I know what I need to do to brace myself for that. I know what I need to do to take myself out of that. I know what I need to, you know what I mean? And then you
Taking
start
the
to,
necessary steps.
exactly, and eventually it starts to become a rhythm. And then it's like, oh, you don't like me? Thanks for not taking up any more space.
Ooh, that's
You know what I
right there.
mean?
And I've learned to be okay with that. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like there's someone I work with at the job I'm at. He's since left, and when I was dealing with people, whispers not being okay with my decision making, I remember just being hurt that people I've known since high school, since college, since university are no longer in my life,
Hmm.
and what made it, for lack of a better word, okay, is that this person that I've only worked with. When this happened, I think we at this point we've been friends for like 6 months. First you start with coworkers, you don't know who that person is, then you're like, okay, this is my dogs.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
he's so easy to be friends with, and that was a big linchpin for me. Cause I'm like, these other people, as most as I've known them since high school, since college, since university, they're not easy to be friends with.
Yeah. Jeez.
And it became a lot, and like I said, talking about in therapy and whatnot, it made it a lot easier to just kind of let them go and allow other people to, not to say like I'm friendship hopping, but allow other people who I previously met to come into and take up that space that like I previously reserved for people who
Try
didn't
out for
really
the
value.
team.
Sorry.
Try out for the team.
Yeah, basically, right. And that was a great basketball analogy. um and that's exactly, and it made me appreciate things just a little bit more.
Hmm.
It made it a lot easier, as opposed to trying to fight for these people to be in my life that really and truly didn't want to be in my life. They didn't,
Yeah, man.
support my decision making for what I'm trying to do for my family and for the people around me.
Hmm.
Right.
It's. I also find it very interesting. I don't know if you particularly have experienced this with yourself, but I know I have. It's like there have been times that I've had that same feeling with people that I'm like, no, you're supposed to be in this role in my life and da 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 blah blah blah. I'm so strong and sure about it, and it's like when you reflect sometimes and you start to reverse engineer your own desires and thoughts and things like that. It's like, yeah, I actually had this thought and desire before I even knew this person. I
Mm,
morphed them into my thing. So what am I sitting here feeling like it has to be
forced
them?
relation.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I I always had what I wanted in me. That's kind of how I
Mhm.
look at things. And so it's just interesting how that happened.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah. And just be okay with not trying to force something, right?
Hmm.
Try to force something to be in a particular way. Just as you said, and as I said, kind of with the whispers, to just be, to just allow, to be able to okay with letting things go, and that leads into that different outcome.
Hmm.
Sometimes a lot of it's intentional. Some of it is by just allowing things to be without forcing it, allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
That makes such a huge difference. And then, on the other note, when it comes to the whispers and just the Advent Children ending, um, I also understand how some people prefer the Advent Children ending. It's a lot safer. It's a lot easier. The bad ending where you know exactly how things are going to play out.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. And I don't fault people for those things either. I think it's just unfortunate because now you're going to thinking of my words for this. You're going to repeat the same cycles that negatively impact our communities.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
part of the reason why I've had certain conversations with some of my female friends is because I'm like, I don't want to have to, or our community have to raise your kids, right? Some of a lot of the young people I work with is because our parents didn't make the best decisions, and so it takes the community to step in. It takes a community. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
So my thing is kind of preventing from that happening even in the first place, right? I think of even like my past relationships. I'm like, how did my ex become such a, for lack of a better word, not to say like they're malicious, but like a horrible person, like just a dysfunctional, human being. It's like they were a child at one point. So how did they get to this point where they're just, for lack of a better word, dysfunctional?
Yeah.
And it's, from parents repeating things that they had, and now your daughter is dating me dysfunctional and putting me through dysfunctional circumstances. So what can I? Sorry,
implosion.
Basically, an implosion, right? Some like would be the best version. Probably Viagra. Probably the best. That'd be the best one. I was thinking of like ice. There's a delay, and you might be able to run after. If you block the first hit, you can get away from the second hit. But Viagra, that just hits you. It just fire explosion. Yeah. And so my thing is always just thinking about how people ended up where they are and what led them there. And then when I meet young people, teenagers, whatever the case may be, I'm like, okay, well, how can I keep you? This is the best way I can word it. How can I keep you from ending up a fucked up adult that I probably had to deal with in the past? How can I help like deter you from that path? And doing my best to do that. Some, I'm able to, and others I can't. I can't help everybody. That's just what it is in terms of the the social work I do. But like the aim is to keep you from getting down that path. And some people don't. I've some some might even be listening. Some people have ran away. Some people have excommunicated me. Some people think I hate them. Some people think I've abandoned them. It's not for me to explain to who I am or what my intentions are. I'm always here to help, but some people it's a lot easier, and some people don't realize that they're going down the Advent Children predestined path. That's just all that they know.
I don't think
Sorry, go on.
I don't think that everyone is aware of their own character arc.
Of their own character, what? Say it again.
Character arc.
You can't just say something like that and just like not talk. You get
like we were saying about understanding where you want to go. When you understand where it is that you're trying to get to, and you mix that with understanding who it is and what you are by means of where you came from, why you came from it, what it is that you came from, you know what I mean? The products of it that make all these different things.
Engineering it, right?
Yeah. It gives you a different context to understand your place in everything. So just understanding your arc, like your archetype, realistically, your energy, your placement within your life, and the things that are going on around you, the moves that you have to make to become a certain thing, to get to a certain point. Those are all just transitions and points in someone's character arc or hero's journey. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And not everyone, I guess, makes or takes the necessary steps in consistency to that call to action
mm.
to continue that. Um, I actually look at the Fibonacci sequence and spiral and the hero's journey as the same thing. It's
I'm
the
not
golden
familiar with.
ratio.
I might have seen it, but I don't know. I don't know it by name.
And basically the golden ratio is just like the spiral that like continues to go in on itself perfectly. It's like
Okay,
you're
okay, yeah, yeah,
right. So you're supposed to continue. You're not
yeah.
supposed to stop. You know, you're supposed to continue to go inward
The
and
cycles.
yeah, go through those cycles. You know, but if you don't know what those cycles are, if you don't know the archetype or the archetypal energy that you're in within whatever stage you are within your life, because it does change and
Hmm.
sometimes it does stay the same for a bit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If you don't know what that is, you might be developing. You're slotting all the wrong material and equipment, and then you're going to go fight a boss, and you're done.
You're not equipped.
You're not
Hmm.
equipped. So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And even in that timeline, Cloud within that bad timeline, bad
Mhm.
ending, Cloud loses his resolve, right? And it takes until like literally like halfway through the movie where he has to talk with Vincent, who
Yeah.
also carries a lot of guilt and weight on his shoulder, is able to talk to Glenn level with Cloud and help him
Hmm.
like, bro, you can't be moving like this. And
Yeah.
that's really what helped. Like from that point, I noticed that like that's when Cloud shifts.
You know, I think that Vincent is a very underrated character for
I was
reasons,
thinking the same
you
thing.
know, like he's
Hmm.
very highly rated.
Hmm.
You know, everyone loves him, but like
Yeah,
the aspects
underutilized.
of his character, yeah, the aspects of his character that are so amazing are so understood.
Hmm.
You know, and going to what I was saying, the when he was having that conversation with Cloud in the City of the Ancients or the
Hmm.
Forest,
Yeah.
Forgotten Forest,
Hmm.
um, Cloud said something like,
Can you be forgiven for your sins?
"Yeah," and he's like, "I don't know, I've never tried,"
Yep.
you
And
know,
that's
and I looked at that as like one that was Vincent trying to tell Cloud like, "You see how miserable I am."
mm,
You see how miserable you know I've been based off of the story that I told you? It's
mm,
because I didn't do anything. So like I'm the wrong person to try to tell
being
you,
asked.
you know what I mean? You, if you want something different, you can't be me.
Yeah.
You know
Inaction
what I
is also
mean?
a form of action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and again on the other hand, Cloud is really recognizing that and taking the stand and to make the choice. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That like fuck, I don't want to be this vampire nigga.
Hmm.
You know?
You say vampire?
Yeah. Just Vincent. You know what I mean? Like
It is fair.
I don't
It's
want
fair.
to be Vincent, bro. Like I don't want to be depressed and like,
Melancholic. This
mad
guy
that
does
my
not did not smile for any of their group pictures.
oh man.
It was just
Do you know all of Vincent's background?
for the most part, yeah. I don't remember. I read it like
So you know about
time ago.
Lucrezia?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like yeah, that whole thing it's interesting because he kind of mirrors Cloud in a sense in that aspect because um Aerith sacrifices herself. Lucrezia
Sacrifices herself, if I remember correctly. I don't remember in detail.
not necessarily sacrifices herself. She can't die. She's
Hmm.
immortal because of the things that like the experimentations and stuff that happened with her and with Sephiroth while she was pregnant with him.
Hmm.
So she can't die. So instead, she basically like crystallizes herself. She basically forms a giant materia crystal wall and just locks herself away. So in a way, that was her death. That
Hmm.
was her, like, you know, so she took herself away from the world, and
Hmm.
so did Aerith, but they both went to different things. or different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And then Vincent and Cloud similarly too.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, man. I guess to kind of wrap things up, I think this has been a great conversation. By the way, this is I wanted to do this 4 years ago, but I had no one to talk about this with. I was like, I don't have anybody to talk about Remake, but I'm like, I just finished the ending and just that whole Destiny of Crossroads, that whole undoing and changing who we are and becoming something. I'm like, this speaks so much to like generational trauma. But it's just like I need someone to talk about this with, and it's such a juicy topic that's just there. Yeah, no, this has been a fantastic conversation, Rose. I know you and I have another one lined up with regards to Kratos and Itachi. I was like, when I asked you, sorry?
That's gonna be so great, bro.
That's another one I've been waiting to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dive back into God of War for that one too. Both of them, 2018 and Ragnarok.
I was about to say, did you play and finish Ragnarok yet?
I finished Ragnarok. I did not do the DLC yet, though.
Same. Okay.
Yeah,
I needed someone who like knows Naruto and can has played the God of War franchise.
I absolutely know Naruto.
Oh, I know that. If you notice, I didn't even ask if you knew Naruto. I was just like, did you play God of War? You're like, yeah. I was like, okay, let me cook. And then I gave you the pitch for my idea, in terms of like talking about Sasuke and Atreus and just what it means to be a male role model, father, mentor. That's going to be such a fantastic conversation that needs to be had. I learned a lot from watching Kratos be a father, especially coming from like his murderous days.
Yeah, holy smokes! I gained so much respect for Kratos the man.
Same.
You know what I mean? Because I was before he was just a video game character, and like I can
slaughtering people and having sex with Aphrodite.
Right, and like I do sympathize and empathize with aspects of the story and all that, but this just made it so grounded. The first one made it so grounded. So yeah, I'm super excited to get into that.
Yeah,
that one left its mark on me.
Huh?
The 2018 left its mark on me, and Ragnarok for sure. I actually like both of those games more than anything
the original
in the series, but yeah.
Same. It's just night and day. Night and day. I don't know if I can go back to those.
No, I can't go back to them. Not at all.
Same.
Not at all.
But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. I would say that I had fun playing Remake again. Playing, like I said, playing games like Tales of Arise, Solstice, Persona 5 really helped like hone my skills even further. Took me a while to get acclimated with the game, and with that energy, I'm going to transition right into like Rebirth. Now, whether I get to play Rebirth tomorrow, I have to wait until I don't think I can wait another week. If I don't play tomorrow, I'm gonna have to unlock something. It's just gonna have to happen.
You're gonna play
it. Sorry?
You're gonna play it.
Oh, I have to. I did the thing. I'm so glad that we finally. I was actually gonna watch. Do you remember the announcement trailer? Dun, dun, dun. You seeing the fan that says finally arrived. See, you're doing the face, and you seeing like Cloud. You're just seeing the back of Cloud walking in Midgard.
The original one? Are you talking about the original one?
The
2015?
Yeah, 2015.
When they first announced it?
And you see just Cloud and Bert walking in Midgard. You're just like,
oh man.
I never that trailer.
I always knew Square had it in the vault.
For sure.
I always knew, bro. I was always telling like one, especially you know what it was that did it for me? I think it was
the tech demo.
Versus 13 did it for me, bro. When I seen that, I was like, they can make Final Fantasy 7. And I seen Versus 13 didn't end up coming out. It ended up coming out as 15. But
yeah.
when I'm looking at it, I'm like, no. it's not even that they can do 7. It's done. In
Yeah.
my mind, I'm like, it's
You already
just done.
convinced.
The skeletons and all that stuff is done. It's just they need to port it to whatever modern technology, keep updating it as it's going, and it's done. It's done. They have it. They've had it for a long time, as a matter of fact. And here we are, bro. Obviously, I'm sure it didn't really go down like that, but
So the thing I learned is that like when they did, I didn't. It's kind of funny. I don't really believe it. I think it's partially cap. But like, you remember the PS3 tech demo for when they did like a tech demo for PS3 and he showed like the opening sequence of that's when like, oh, people really want the game. And Nomura was just like, yo, if we don't do it now, we'll be too old to ever do it.
I
And
can see
so
that.
we got the remake because it takes them 15 years, right? So they started since 2015 more or less, and they've been at it. Like they've been on grind mode. So I'm just like, yo,
super grind mode.
Yeah, no, I was especially the fact that they were able to even still drop Final Fantasy 16 too. I was like, you guys made another one?
When you play 16, because I'm sure you're gonna play 16 after Rebirth.
Yeah.
You're gonna first of all, like I said, 16 is amazing in terms of like its fidelity, the graphic fidelity. It looks so beautiful. It's not Remake. It's friggin' Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
You know what I mean? It's straight up Devil May Cry, just not as
over the top.
Not as over the top.
No wacky woohoo pizza guy.
No. But it's really good, and it's like when you play Rebirth and you play 16, you're gonna understand that, like, or for me, in my perspective, as much as 16 is its own thing, and I'm not taking anything away from it whatsoever because it is amazing. I keep saying it. But in my eyes, it was like a test. It was the second like remake. Remake was their tech demo. 16 was their test demo. Rebirth is
the final product.
Oh, it's
to be honest with you, for like the last while, it feels like a lot of the Final Fantasy products have been like a test bed for what we have with regards to
7
Remake and Rebirth. Yeah, because even like I wish
Renaissance.
Yeah, basically, because like now Square is on. Square is like the company again, which we haven't had since we were kids.
Square and Sonic are back.
Yeah, basically. Sonic. We're also getting the rise of like good video game movies now too.
Yeah, man.
Sonic and I didn't watch Mario, but I heard Mario had some good reception to it too.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Mario was really good, especially for how safe they played it. That's what's very interesting, bro. The movie they played it so safe, but it wasn't bad. It was like, oh, that was Mario. It didn't blow me away though.
Yeah,
it blew me away in potential.
Yeah,
with it where I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa, they can really do a lot with this. Yeah. They can make 3, 4, 5 movies. They can make a couple animated series, and then they can introduce Wario.
Okay.
It seemed very grandiose in its presentation. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. What was I saying? Yeah. So one of the small gripe I have with 7 is I took away from the DLC from Final Fantasy 15 because they had that second season of DLC that I always wanted to play, but I don't know. Maybe we might get in the future. They brought back Gundam Seed in the movie, so and that I know you're not really into Gundam, but like Gundam Seed Destiny, the sequel to Gundam Seed, came out when we were in high school. 2005. Yeah, so the Seed Freedom, the sequel to the series, this is like 20 years later, bro. Destiny came out in 2005. We were still in high school. This is 2024, and they made a new movie. So I'm like, you know what? Anything's possible now. I'm open to anything. But like, I did wish that we got to get all the remaining DLC for 15. But no, even when I'm playing 15,
you got it in a movie though. Did you watch Kingsglaive?
Of course. I have the Blu-ray.
I don't. Oh wait, actually, I think I do if I have the game, right?
I'm sure you have the Blu-ray.
think so. No, I don't have the deluxe edition. No, I do have it.
Damn. Yeah, I think that's close it. Let me see the cover. I think I might have that one too. Oh, you mean the deluxe version of 15, and you have
Yeah.
Kingsglaive in it?
Yeah, it has the thing
movie.
where I just have to put the code.
Oh, okay. No, I just
Not that
got a
it's
basic
that's if
15
it's still
and all the
active.
upgrades. Okay. No, they usually have it active for quite a few years, but no, I just got basic 15, and then sometime later bought the Blu-ray.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have wanted all the DLC, but it's okay. Even when I'm playing 15, I'm like, this was a clear prototype for Remake, and then you're playing Remake. This is a prototype for 16 and Rebirth. Like, you're seeing, like, this is really what they've been trying to do. They're trying to
This
just
whole
figure out what
time.
they're doing, and now they're like, okay, now we know what we're doing.
And Kingdom Hearts was a test run for 15.
There we go. The thing I love about Rebirth and Remake is that we finally get to do the Advent Children fights that we saw in the movies. That was the thing that was watching Advent Children. Yes, the bad timeline, but like, you're always like, man, I was stuck in turn based. These guys are fighting on top of Shinra while it's falling. What? Now you're able to like just flip in the air and shoot. Like, I saw like some of the stuff you can. I was like, this is crazy. Like, you're seeing like Barrett throw Tifa in the air and she's juggling enemies and knocking them down, and then
the synergy attacks that, bro. I if you notice, I haven't really said anything about it because I'm so like
excited for these. I saw some of them and I'm like, bro.
That's why when you're like, I hope or can they counter, or can you counter or whatever? I'm like, everyone can kind of counter. Everyone has like different things that they can do. You know what I mean? And the different combinations with.
The thing I gave them a lot of points for is the fact that, like, because like I didn't use Aerith when I originally played as a kid. I never used magic users. I'm like, magic? Yo, it's called E for everyone. These hands are rated E for everybody. Like, I'm always like that in games. Like, I don't use magic characters. So the fact
I use magic, like, just not magic characters.
Sorry?
I use magic, just not magic characters.
There we go. So like, for me, I was just like, the fact that they made Aerith really fun. Not only really fun, but she's like the strongest character. Like, in terms
of, she is the strongest character in OG7 as well.
Fair enough. I didn't know that. I was a kid. I was like, magic.
Especially if you really put the time into like grinding your entire party to their maximum, you'll see that what Aerith is capable of is insanely ridiculous, because her damage output is the highest in the game, because her magic attack can exceed everyone else's regular attack. And then on top of that, you can buff her magic, and then you can take away how much MP it costs, and a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You know what I mean? And she can heal your party. So it really made a crazy difference in the game experience when she was gone.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I'm just saying, you just lose that character. Like, wait,
you
what?
Really usually in video games there's a replacement for the type that you lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nah, she's gone, bro. Figure it out.
Yep.
Especially if you're banking on those cures and curas and healing winds and all of that shit, bro. It's gone, bro. What are you gonna do? Like, those things are like, one of my playthroughs was one of my earliest OG7 playthroughs. That shit was saving me from game overs, bro. As soon as she was gone, bro, it was like, oh fuck. That's when I really learned how to play the game properly. Actually, though, the training wheels came off.
I don't even fault you. Yeah, no. Playing Aerith, I'm like, yo, this character is stupid strong and really fun. So I was really impressed how they made her. Like, shouts to them. The fact that, like, I'd rather have her on the team than Barrett. I'm like, no, you guys did a good job. And then like, Tifa's probably the most complex character, I would say, in the game. But and who has the highest like stagger output? Like, if you need to do staggered, she's True Fist. Sorry, is it called True Fist? Can't remember the name, but like the punch.
Yeah, True Strike.
True Strike. And then you're just doing Omni Strike. Yeah, yo, she rise and fall Omni Strike. You're at like what, plus 250%. Then you have Cloud do a couple bravers, and Tifa does, and Aerith does this. Dead.
Yeah, it's done for. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun with Rebirth, bro. You're gonna have issues with who to use, or not necessarily who to use, but it's just like you can really have fun with everybody. The only person that I'd say that I haven't fully figured out yet, because he's a dog.
I saw something on Twitter. It's like, is he a dog or a cat? And I was like,
it's like a lion dog.
Right? Like, I never thought about that until someone posed that question. I was about to be like, oh, he's a dog. Wait a minute.
He's like this is like a lion wolf hybrid with mixed with one of those firebomb things.
You know, it's a funny thing. When I first saw him, I thought of Charmander.
That's hilarious.
Because of the tail, I was just like, if someone takes out your tail, do you like die like Charmander?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because you can swim in Rebirth.
Yeah, so yeah, that's anyways. Like I said, it's just like Cloud being a convenient super soldier. He can't hop over a ledge, but you see him like, I'm just like, you really can't jump over that cat.
Can't burn that water up.
Right? I'm like, okay, fine. Well, just for the sake of this game, you can't jump over the ledge. Even though I've seen you jump off falling debris and slicing
buildings in half.
Right. You can't do this. You need red for this. Okay. All right.
And everybody to launch you up to Bahamut.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. I'll allow it.
So, it looked cool.
It did. Watching that scene, I was like, wow, this is enjoyable. Yeah, man, this has been a great conversation. The thing that people should know I'm going to be cooking up is trying to get this one out around the time of Toronto Comic-Con, which is around Superman and vulnerability. Male vulnerability, I should say. Like, not everyone needs to know your secret identity, so why are you sharing it with every woman that you meet who you are?
Jeez. Guess that I'm nice for it.
Yeah, man.
That's a fact, bro.
Yeah. Lois has to prove herself, so why doesn't she? So yeah, so we got some good stuff coming up. So thank you, Rose, for coming through again. I appreciate you,
man. Thank you. Anytime. I really appreciate you, family.
Same here. We've had some great childhood conversations. So you and I have a lot in alignment in terms of values, experiences. So love that.
For sure. More to come, bro.
Right. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Look forward to some of the ones that we have upcoming, like Kratos and Itachi and Superman. Not all three. These are different episodes. So, all right. You guys take it easy.
Hold it down.
Yep. Like and subscribe if you're watching. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.